We the best.
Hey everyone, and welcome to
We the best.
Overwatch League News with your hosts, Ivan, and Julien.
Hello?
No, just kidding. This is our Hungover podcast. My name's Ivan, over there, Julien. And
Julien.
We are Hungover Gaming, bringing you the Hungover podcast. And this week, we are talking a lot about Overwatch League, the Season 1 impressions. The finals just happened, and we happened to have been there, right, Julien?
Yeah, we were there. It was very exciting. As you can tell, maybe slightly, my voice is a little bit off. We were yelling a lot. It was a very exciting event to watch video games on such a large screen and such a large setting. And I'm very glad that we went to it.
They brought the bass.
They brought
and
the
you know
bass.
how the people can bring it for this here podcast?
I believe they can go around to iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and get the audio version if they like. But they could also see our beautiful faces in video form on YouTube on Mondays at 9 a.m. on the Hungover Gaming YouTube channel, which you all should go subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified about future uploads. But there's another way you can catch the show, a little more interactive.
What are you saying?
You can catch it live, recorded on Sundays if you follow me or Yvonne on twitch.tv/jujubesgood. Might as well follow me on Twitter while you're at it, because I tweet out when we go live and the topic and such, and you can interact and be part of the show, and that would be super exciting for all of us, actually.
I would enjoy it. Julien would enjoy it. Most of all, we would enjoy it as a collaborative effort.
Definitely.
I didn't really have a lot of space to go from there, but you know what I'm saying.
I know
Everyone
what you're
here
saying.
will have a good time, and to demonstrate, what kind of good time people can have, every time we start off this podcast, we start off by asking each other what we consume that week in terms of media and beverages. And this time, we consumed some stuff together. So, Julien.
Yeah.
What'd you do this week?
Hey, this week, before the weekend, of course, where you came and visited me in New York City to go see the grand finals, this week I did not do too much on the side of drinking, but I'll tell you what I did in terms of video gaming. See, the good old game called Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2 both came out. And on the Nintendo Switch as well, which is where I, prefer to play third-party games if I can, because I get way more time to do it because I commute a lot. These games are really cool. On Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 has Mega Man X, Mega Man X2, X3, and X4. It adds a bunch of different things, such as like a museum where you can see concept art. You can see they scanned the actual manuals for the games. They have it's like a Mega Man X museum, if it were. It's pretty cool with that respect. That's not the only thing they did. They had you can button map everything. You can save your game, and you can play the games in Japanese audio, in the Japanese version of the game as well. But I think the coolest thing that they added was the boss challenge mode, I believe, which is where you can fight two bosses at once, which is something that you couldn't previously do at all in the games. These games differ from Mega Man, the original NES series, which are 1 through 6. And also is a little crazy that Mega Man X was released before Mega Man 6 came out. So it was a little ridiculous on the SNES. And yeah, no, it's interesting the timeline in which these games came out. These are definitely part of video gaming history, which is pretty much why I wanted to pick them up. I actually never played them. Mega Man X1, 2, and 3 are on the SNES, and Mega Man X4 came out on the PS4. So there's sort of a mixed history with that, which games came out where, and that's why they look different. But I think that's the cool thing about these games. So Mega Man, the difference between the series, and many people take sides on which series are better, the original Mega Man games or the Mega Man X series, and it's really about what your playstyle is. So these games have much more story, I think, honestly, told to you throughout the game. And it's more about exploration. Mega Man X. You get a bunch of different upgrades that you can find in. Obviously, you get the upgrades to your weapon that you come to know from the Mega Man series. You beat a boss and you get to use their weapon, essentially. But
Take that, Woodman.
fuck Woodman. No, but you can also get like upgrades to your health, upgrades to your armor, and things like that if you go back into the levels and sort of explore using your newfound abilities. So it's more like a Metroidvania in some ways. But Mega Man, the original series, is all about just pure skill and getting those frame perfect jumps and frame perfect shots and being sick at the game. So this game is still very, very difficult. And there are a lot of frame ridiculous things that you can do if you watch any speedrunners. It's a pretty fun game overall. I would highly suggest getting Mega Man Legacy Collection 1. Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1. Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2 is a little more controversial, not because of the package. The overall package is essentially the same, although it just has different games in it. The problem there being is the games in the Legacy Collection. Mega Man X 5, 6, and 7, and I think 5, 6, 7, and 8 are just not good games. Mega Man, they're just pretty shitty games. Or at least, well, actually, Mega Man 7, Mega Man X7 is just a pretty poor game. Mega Man X8 was better than 7, but still not that good. So Mega Man X5 and 6 are somewhat decent comparatively to the whole series, but X7 and X8 may, you get it to complete the collection if you, that's what I did. And also you can get it, if you buy both of them, you can get a discount just through purchasing both of them as opposed to buying them separately. So I mean, I got it because I'm just interested in video gaming history, so I wanted to see all these games and play them for myself. But I do hear that those games are not very good. I haven't gotten to them yet. I'm still working my way through Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1. I highly suggest that one. It's a lot of fun if you like side-scrollers. Definitely pick it up. And I've been playing more Octopath Traveler, Vaughn. But we went on a little bit of a drinking rampage this weekend, Yvonne. You want to tell us about it?
It was a whirlwind.
So, as it always is when you come by, it's just a whirlwind. I don't really know what happened, and then you're just gone.
Yeah,
at least
it
me sort
basically
of sad.
starts on
Me
Friday.
inside.
We take a couple naps on like Friday night and Saturday night because it definitely can't be considered a full night's rest.
Yes, no, not at all. By no means.
And then I leave, and then we have a good time. So on Friday night, it was just some classic.
Bras are all bra.
The idea was to start off with some classic Ruski standards. And good on Julien, he didn't buy a bottle of vodka before
Thank
I got
God
there.
I forgot
think
to
it
do
was
that.
actually overall a
godsend.
pretty good idea. However, we did end up going to a bar near Barclay Center and enjoying some $7 Tecate and Espolón combos.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing, if I do say so myself. Espolón is one of our favorite legacy tequilas. Espolón is a pretty smooth,
really
cheap
great.
tequila. It's nowhere near as smooth as Patron.
Yeah, not at
but
all.
it's the best cheap version of tequila I think you can get.
I definitely like it.
Yeah,
we
got the
drink a
clear
lot
one.
of it. It definitely hits you hard, a lot harder than Patron will. But I like it. It's pretty good.
I honestly have to say, if you're going to spend money on tequila, you might as well just get Patron. That's just my honest to
fair
God
enough.
opinion.
No, fair enough. But if you want to do some cheaper margaritas on the cheap, I'd say, but still pretty decent, I'd say you want to go for Espolón.
Yeah.
But I agree. Patron is the way to go if you're getting tequila. And honestly, if you're getting tequila, you're insane. He is crazy. You're out for a night.
So,
Some say it's placebo, but I say it's tequila. I
you
don't know.
know, we were also, we had some beer as sort of like an appetizer, and we were like, okay, we should
Yeah.
probably have a main course before we go. So we got a herring shot. Now, what a herring
Yes.
shot is
Yes.
just Polish potato vodka, which is bad level of vodka. If you're
Oh
drinking
boy.
potato vodka, you can just literally throw that out and redo it with a nice wheat vodka. Vodka should always be wheat. Um, and then on top of it is a toothpick with two small bits of pickled herring,
Yeah.
which to most people around the world is disgusting.
It's
but
very repulsive to most people.
I love herring.
Hey, I like a good white fish. I think it's really I really like white fish. Um, you know, like flounders, delicious. But herring, I like a good herring. It's usually pickled. I've never had a fresh herring.
I
I'd like
don't
to
think I
know.
have ever either. I think underrated whitefish is cod.
Cod,
Delicious
definitely
in a
delicious.
fish and chips.
Yeah, I think
Cod or haddock.
there is what is the fish that they just call whitefish in like a whitefish spread? They'll cook it. I don't know how they cook it, but they shred it up, and then you can just put it on like a spread of. You could put it on like a bagel or something. Be
I
pretty
don't know
good.
what the whitefish
Yeah, I
of
don't
smoked
know.
whitefish is.
Yeah, it's smoked too, and then they shred it. That's how they cook it. That's delicious. Guys, get on the
Halibut?
whitefish game. It might be halibut. It's very expensive, so I don't, definitely try not to buy it. But if it ever shows up, I will eat a lot of it. And it sort of herring sort of reminds me of it has a similar flavor profile. I definitely like it. I mean, herring is always pickled, so you get that nice briny flavor, and it's a little bit sour, a little bit
And it's
tangy,
an
and it's
excellent way to finish
delicious.
off a vodka shot, I think.
Yeah, I think, and you get a nice little meal,
Right with
so
it.
you could call it a meal, I guess. But yeah, that was delicious shots.
We also
Minus
had a
the
pickle
tequila
shot
shots.
from that place.
That was great.
Vodka mixed with pickle brine and then a little pickle. And it's an Eastern European pickle, so it's not as sweet. And
Yeah.
it's got a lot more herbal essence to it. Because the way that Eastern Europeans brine pickles, it has a lot more of natural leaves or herbs within the brine itself.
I mean, dill is obviously included in some of the brines, but not all of them, I believe.
You could do
And
some black currant leaves. That's
currant?
what we
Nice.
do at the house.
Very cool. I would like to get into pickling. It's an interesting process. You can even do it very quickly. You can do a quick pickle, just in a couple hours. So, and it's not quite as long of a process that way. And you could do it just for a quick bite, and gives a nice flavor to an otherwise just like a raw vegetable. So yeah, you could do, for instance, like celery. You chop up celery, put it in a brine and with some vinegar and and black pepper these types of thing, mustard seed perhaps, and just leave it in the jar for a couple, maybe an hour or two before you prepare your meal, and then have that on the side. It's pretty nice.
Alternatively, you do like a cup of salt, fresh
yeah, with
cucumbers,
salt too, and sugar.
No need for sugar. Some
In
salt,
some,
dill.
I'm talking about different things. Sorry.
Yeah. Salt, dill, some or other herbaliscent leaves if you want like a little bit of something naturalistic like a blackcurrant sets of leaves or whatever. Wrap that bag all together in like a plastic bag with your cucumbers. You can slice up the cucumbers so they absorb it more. Shake that bad boy up, put it in the fridge for 2 days, and then take it out. You got lightly salted, delicious cucumbers.
That sounds great. Pickling
Easy.
is a fantastic process, Yvonne. And I'm glad we found this bar. It's literally called Bar. Check it out. It's by the Barclay Center in New York City. If you're ever around and you're looking for a really interesting shot, I definitely highly suggest going there. It's pretty cool. But that's
It is actually, I
it's not
think
just
it
called
is
bar.
actually technically called the North Pole Pub, but
Okay,
it's
that's
definitely
lame.
just bar in our opinion
Yeah,
because it just has a
a
sign on
sign.
its outside
It
that
was a
just
cool
says
sign.
bar.
Yeah, it's a tiny little place. Not too popular, I guess, but I think it should be. Those were some good shots.
Beautiful
Yeah,
bathroom.
great bathroom. Good bathroom. Yvonne, that
We
wasn't
also
the
got
end.
pickled on
Oh,
Saturday,
pickled?
right? Wait, yeah, pickled is a different way of saying drunk.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to say that's not the end of our Eastern European expeditions. Where did we go next, Yvonne? Your favorite place?
The next day, we went to cap off what was a delicious Chinese dinner with a traditional Russian dessert and vodka night. We went to the Russian Samovar in Midtown.
Yeah,
Slightly more expensive, but it has some of the best vodka you will drink in your life.
yeah, good
Um,
vodkas.
which ones did you enjoy? Because we sampled a few, and then you
Yeah,
can get like small carafes, 250 ml carafes, or individual shots. And so we
yeah,
did a mix of getting individual shots of some of the ones that we were questioning a bit more, and getting carafes of the ones that I knew were top notch.
yeah.
So which ones stuck in your mind?
Well, the classic flavors when you mix, the classic drink, the cranberry vodka. I think that was quite delicious. It always is, and it's just a standard one that you should definitely be getting at this place. It tastes like a cranberry vodka, but it's not nearly as sweet as you would normally get at a bar. I think because typically they just use cranberry juice from concentrate that has some
Super
sugar in there,
sugary.
which is fine. I'll drink it. It's totally fine, but it is a lot more sugary. This they actually infuse the flavors into the vodka, so it's a much more involved process for them. It's not as simple as just making a cranberry vodka. So you're getting a much more powerful drink out of it. It's pretty much just vodka, but it has a cranberry flavor to it. Has that tartness of the cranberry to cut the harshness of the vodka. And even though this vodka is pretty smooth to begin with, and I definitely like that one a lot.
Yeah, underrated necessity for a vodka drink, I think, is tartness.
Yeah, definitely.
Or some
Um,
sort of acidity or something to just cut the
well, that's why a
whatever the
screwdriver
vodka
works
taste
so
is,
well.
know.
Screwdriver works so well.
Or a
But
Ruski standard.
yeah, Ruski standard with the lime. It's great. They should have made a lime one. That would have been great instead of the lemon. The lemon one was all right. Um,
It was
it
alright.
it was
So
not as powerful.
we tried lemon, pineapple,
Pineapple.
mango.
Those two were bad. Don't get those.
The pineapple and mango. The lemon
Yeah.
was okay, not the best one. We also tried horseradish,
Horseradish was interesting for sure.
tarragon.
Yes, I like that one.
So tarragon is, although it's classically used in French cooking, is
Mm-hmm.
also a classic flavor in Russian beverage. There's a very, like, every kid drinks it. It's like Sprite. It's the Sprite of the Soviet Union,
That's
basically.
weird.
It was a drink called tarhun, which is just like a tarragon soda. So it
Cool.
was not as licorice as the shot is. It's not so anise, but it's sweet and herbal. Not so heavy on that like licoricey flavor. So it's pretty delicious
Okay.
as a soda. I highly recommend that soda mixed with gin.
Okay, that
Gin.
sounds great.
Um,
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, that's awesome. But this tarragon shot was pretty delicious, and the horseradish one was actually not horseradishy enough for my tastes. But
You're disgusting.
a
You
very
just-
nice chilled horseradish vodka drank slowly and sipped is tremendous, and it's also even better in a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, no, I
But
could totally see that in a Bloody Mary for sure.
other than the cranberry one and these little shots, we tried in the big jars the cherry and raspberry. And
Yeah.
those, I think, if you really enjoy Jello, get the raspberry.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely the perfect, artificial raspberry taste. Even though I'm not sure how they made it, But yeah, I don't know.
And if you want to drink something that isn't just plain vodka but has a kick to it, the
Yeah.
cherry one is pretty good. So the cranberry, you could drink those all night long and not know that you're drinking.
Hmm.
But the cherry one, you definitely felt the kick on the back end.
Yeah, definitely
So
check
it
out.
helps prevent you over drinking, I think.
Definitely, yeah. Right. The cranberry one you could easily get blasted on. Definitely check out the Russian Samovar. It's in Midtown, I believe, on 52nd Street and 8th Avenue. It's a
Yep.
great place to go. There's live music and there's nice desserts. I'm not sure if they do any other foods, but
Yeah, they have a full menu.
oh, they have a full
It's-
menu. That's
It's
great.
a full menu of classic Russian food, and
Yeah.
we got just desserts there. But you know who else got their just desserts this weekend?
The London Spitfire.
Boom, and that's what we call a segue in the business.
Yes,
We're
that
going to
is
transition to our topic of the show. I know everybody's been carefully waiting for us to discuss
course.
Overwatch League,
Of course.
especially since we got to be part of the action in the grand finals. Finally, we're getting off the topic of food and wine and beer and alcohol in general, which really we should just do a full other podcast on.
We should
Some of
actually
our
do that.
Do some more of those. But in any case,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about Overwatch League Season 1. Highs, lows, some of
Yeah.
the interesting things that we discovered, and just what made it special or pedestrian this season.
Right. So this season kicked off in January with Stage 1, starting around the middle of January. I believe January 10th was the first match. And we were obviously, I mean, Overwatch is a constantly changing game, and that definitely shows in the Overwatch League as well. I like that they adapt the fairly recent. They're usually a couple patches behind, and the game changes a lot from patch to patch. But I like that they don't just play on one patch the entire season. I think that's really cool, and it allows for a lot of versatility in terms of which team is on top. So we
Yeah.
saw in Stage 1, NYXL do pretty well. A lot of the Korean teams, they're obviously American owned teams, but they have Korean players on them. Happen to be the best teams in the league. You see NYXL, Seoul Dynasty, London Spitfire do very well throughout the league, and or at least throughout the stage. And it started off with a great a great introduction to Overwatch for new players, and I think it's a really good way to promote the game.
For sure.
Yeah.
I thought so. As a person who had never been into esports before, I did the thing that most people do when they are then become evangelists for esports.
Yeah.
It was a game that I spent a lot of time with and really enjoyed, and thought this is an interesting and competitive game that I would like to see played at a very high level.
Mhm.
And I saw Overwatch League, and from basically week 1, I kind of fell in love with Overwatch as an esport, and it really sold esports in general
Yeah.
to me. So I think a lot of people came from that moderately skeptical position into believing that Overwatch as an esport is a real thing, and esports are going to
Definitely.
be mega big in the coming years. I really thought that Overwatch League garnered a lot of attention in its
Mhm.
first week, and I was afraid how that attention would rise or fall in the coming stages. And I think it showed that by the end, with the grand finals, people were tuning in, and they had better views at the end than they had at the beginning, and that's a pretty big statement to make about a brand new esports league.
Right. It's exciting that this game that it's well, I think it's exciting that so much support is being put behind this game. So typically, let's say your average multiplayer game that comes out will be similar to like Call of Duty, right? So Call of Duty comes out and it's played for maybe 5 months, honestly, 5 or 6 months. The majority of players play it that long, and then they just stop playing it and move on with their lives and all these sorts of things. Overwatch, on the other hand, is how many years old? 2 years old now, and or maybe three. I don't. I think it came out in 2016.
Its third year, I think.
Yeah. So and the game is actually stronger than ever now, and it's so. We were just reminiscing, right, in our when we were last playing. What would it be like to play vanilla Overwatch now, right? It would feel
Super
so
crazy.
foreign to us. So the game has been given new legs by the developers. They're constantly working on new ways to make the gameplay fresh and balanced as well, because it is a very competitive game. So I think that sort of support behind a game is really necessary to keep your player base excited to play the game, to turn on the game every day and continue playing. So and that on top of having an incredibly showy league where they have the best players compete against each other in flashy ways because they have good production value.
Extremely good
yeah,
production
I
value.
think it was pretty good.
I was astounded by how the Blizzard Arena looked when I first saw it, with
Right.
how the screen was transitioning, how everything like flowed and had a really nice aesthetic. There weren't a lot of technical glitches along the season. Of course, with as many games are being played, you'll get technical glitches no matter
Right.
if you're the oldest sports genre or the newest esport, especially with so much digital equipment being tied into computers that you're playing on versus switchers and camera feeds, etc.
Yeah, I can
There's a
hardly
lot
get
going into
my
it.
computer to work. Imagine making 12 computers work at the same time and recording everything and making sure that no hiccups. Of course, if you watch the games every week, you actually saw a couple of times the games had to be paused, but luckily they hired pretty decent commentators or shoutcasters, sorry,
Right.
to that can adapt on the fly and vamp for a little bit while they sort technical difficulties out. So I think
And in
overall,
general, I thought it was a great way to up the experience, and then going to see the show live was just one of the better sports experiences I've ever
been
enjoyed.
to, yeah,
Really,
yeah.
I've been to MLS games, I've been
Mhm.
to NBA games, I've been to NHL games, I've been to NFL games, and I have to say that I have every place that I've been to for those things. I've been to places where the crowd is pretty great, except
Yeah.
for maybe the MLS game I went to. But it was okay. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. But like, if you go to see a Buffalo Bills game, their
Yeah.
Bills Mafia is fucking insane, and it's a great crowd to be part of. If you go see a San Antonio Spurs game, Spurs fans are awesome. They're
Yeah.
loyal, dedicated, and they're out of their seats a bunch of the time.
That's great.
And then if you go to Overwatch League, it is surprisingly engaging and uproarious, and like the fans are seeing, unless they have like season tickets or whatever, they're seeing a game that they play on their couches or in their desk chairs at home, played on a stage with such tremendous like volume of bombastic noises, and it elevates the level of intensity that you feel, and just
Right.
like when you hear that widow, that 100% widow shot, and it reverberates in your chest, it's just a really
It's intense.
experience.
Right. We of course we went to the Barclay Center. They have a different audio system than the Blizzard Arena. Although we were trying to figure out. Oh yeah, you have your. They had these really cool these bracelets that they gave us that flashed a light, and so everyone had the whole arena was the same color at certain points, which is pretty cool. So it got so loud. I mean, the fans were so loud in the stadium that when something exciting was happening, it was very difficult to find out exactly what the shout callers were saying, or shout casters, sorry, were even saying. It was so it was really a fun experience. I mean, I lost part of my voice. My throat still hurts because we yelled at every diva bomb that was thrown off. Because if you watch the games, you know there were quite a few diva bombs that got multiple kills that were really game-changing moments in the Overwatch Grand Finals. Although we have seen more exciting games in the Overwatch League in prior stages, just regular games. But this game was maybe not the most exciting game. But it was that much more exciting to be there. I agree.
Right. Yeah, I think it was I think people were disappointed it was a sweep for the last match.
Yeah, what
unless
do you
were a London fan. But the crowd was overwhelmingly, I think, Philly supporters.
Yeah,
because it was super
proximity.
Close to Philly. But you got all the bandwagon London fans who were like, "We did really well yesterday."
It was all
in the Saturday
us.
pre-show. It's awesome. I didn't know that London had a white woman from Colorado.
Totally, yeah.
But in general, I really enjoyed that experience, and I think that is going to be the key moving forward for esports in general. So you need to build up hometown crowds or the ability to transition it and make it local in as many places as possible, because I think bringing in obviously for the grand finals it's a special event, but having it be the only time that people on the East Coast could see a live Overwatch match made it really important, and we had people from Ohio, Colorado, all across the eastern seaboard coming into New York to see this game, not to mention people who were like from the city or
of course, yeah.
How many people would do that? And the amount of Nixel supporters that we saw at the match was crazy. Everybody had bought tickets expecting NYXL to be in the finals.
Right, definitely.
And they were there to support their team. Unfortunately, NYXL got eliminated, and so... but they still went there and had their NYXL gear ready to support their home team. And I think that's going to be... I think that's a major point of what they wanted to do, what they want to do in transition into Season 2 and beyond, is attempt to make these... the Overwatch League in general feel more local. That's the mission of trying to make a successful esport, I think, is make it as local as possible, make it as emulative of what we would consider traditional major sports leagues as possible. So we already have cities represented in the thing, but now we have to play in those cities or play in regional access to them. And
that
I
would
think
be intense.
One of the things that would be cool is, for instance, Stage 1 is LA, Stage 2 is New York, Stage 3 is Chicago, Stage 4 is, Nashville or Atlanta is set to have a team match come in. So regionally accessible teams, so that you're hitting the major demographics. Maybe Stage 1 and Stage 4 or something is in LA, so because it's West Coast people can get there. But I think it would be interesting to have that kind of dynamic where you have each stage so that people aren't, getting uprooted. So, 6 weeks in one place is, I think, manageable. Rather than having like an NBA schedule where these 6 players have to go, they play home games in their hometown, because there are teams that will now be from China, Guangzhou. Pronounce that correct?
Guangzhou.
Guangzhou.
Yeah.
It's my attempt.
Close
is set to be part of the upcoming Season 2 teams, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe if we have some preseason games played in China, for instance, or Korea.
That would be crazy.
Or Korea and China, European sports teams will go on international tours. Well, they'll play in Asia, or they'll play in the U.S., or they'll play in Latin America. And so I think preseason, for instance, where you're traveling a whole bunch of places, it doesn't really matter. You can play in those already set up stadiums in Korea, or in Japan, or in China.
Well,
so
hey,
I think that would be cool.
As we move forward in terms of esports popularity, we're definitely going to see these stadiums be built, because where there's money, there will be need for these types of things, and we're seeing, I mean, huge companies already own these teams, right? It's not like the city of Philadelphia owns Philly, right? The Philly Fusion. I think,
Right.
was it Comcast or
It's
the some?
Comcast, yeah, and the buy-in for
Yeah,
season 1 was 20 million, and the buy-in for season 2 is speculated to be anywhere between 30 to 60 million dollars.
right. So I mean, Comcast is a huge company. As much as you hate them, they're a huge company. They have a lot of money. So there's going to be a lot of need, or a lot of money being pumped into this league, and that means, as we're moving forward, not just Overwatch. For instance, like the Olympics commissioners are still in discussions of having esports as whatever that means. Which game they're gonna play, we'll find out. In the Olympics, so that means they're going to have, whoever has the Olympic Games, that has the esports officially in it, is going to have to make facilities, to house these games. For the
In
gold medal.
the event that I was in
Yeah.
Turkmenistan, I think esports was that it was a smaller scale event, so it's not like an Olympic qualifier, but the esports was a category to test how it would fit at the regular
Cool.
Asian Games.
I mean, I'm glad that, more companies and more higher up people who govern sporting events are in discussions with about esports, as a viable money maker, obviously, but as a viable event to have in their in arenas. And so that means they're going to outfit various arenas with the capabilities of, showing an esports event. So that means, it'll be way easier for Overwatch League, just as an example, but there are obviously other games that can be played there, to move around, as Ivan was suggesting, you know, to different areas, like Chicago, or the Midwest, places like that, to display, have the event there for a couple weeks. I think that would be really exciting, and all it takes is just having the capability of physically doing it. So, and we're well on our way to that. So I think it will happen, maybe next season, not next season, but like the season after that, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, of course, Overwatch League, as they were discussing it, it's a long-term planning period. So
Yeah.
they have their first 5-year plan, and then they'll start executing a second 5-year plan as the league goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of it is like, as much as you're attempting to create a more traditional esports, or traditional sport feel within the esports genre of games, right? So building up more physical stadiums, making it more local. You also have to take into account, I think, more the culture of the esports, and you can't just throw out. I think you can't just throw out ideas as if it was the most regular of traditional sports. So, for instance, the discussion point for me in terms of this is like, DJ Khaled came out on Saturday. I had no idea what the fuck Overwatch was or Overwatch League, and basically had one of the worst. I think he's a terrible performer, maybe.
Yes,
but it was
he
it
is.
was a really bad set, and everybody in the audience was. Well, not everybody, but a vast majority of people in the audience were not prepared for a DJ Khaled concert, nor did they want it.
Yeah.
The songs that DJ Khaled is famous for, many of them are not family-centric lyrics, for instance. So to avoid saying the F word or whatever on stage as himself, he would throw it to the audience, who, for the vast majority, didn't know the words to the songs. Or he would play a song for like 30 seconds. And it just seemed really ill-fitting.
Yeah, it was not the right performance.
Yeah, like DJ Khaled, if you got to play his full set, maybe it would be better and more intriguing. This is a curtailed set, obviously, like 15, 20 minutes. So he had to condense a lot of the things that he was doing. And I think just in general, the audience wasn't as into it as they would have been if they were going to see like his tour with Jay-Z and Beyonce that they knew he was being featured in. So I think that going forward, you need to, or Blizzard or whoever the overall organizer is going to be for the given esport, needs to really understand how to make things more like community like maybe throw out like a poll or something, or like make it more, I don't know, make it more communicative about what this kind of community would like to see,
Yeah.
and then transform that into, okay, this is the kind of genre, this is the kind of artist that people are excited to see. Now, having done it a couple times before, we can throw that and transition that into being like, okay, this is the kind of artist that the crowd most likely will get into, etc. So making it more of a collaborative process in the beginning when they don't know what the fuck the crowd wants, apparently, I think would be better. And so
Yeah,
transitioning it to a more
definitely.
tailored experience for this specific niche audience at the moment.
Hey, I tell you, I did not need to see DJ Khaled
Ever.
perform. Yeah, I didn't really think that was going to happen, but I'm glad they had some sort of, some sort of event, a way to keep the fans engaged, watching the stage while they were setting up the next half of the game. But,
It's an interesting point. I
yeah.
also question why not like during halftime, like they would for like the Super Bowl or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like the halftime concert, like a small snippet of a variety of artists or whatever,
Right,
or like
yeah.
two or three people instead of one person having a 15-minute set where he just bombs. Um, cool.
Yeah, hey.
That little girl agreed with me. How could they have had DJ Khaled?
Yes.
In general, other than that, I think the Overwatch League experienced some of the most exciting play that esports can provide. We had heartbreak, we had nail biting
Mm-hmm.
wins. You got to see like things even in stage 4, the last game, where Dallas Fuel had to depend on a different team in order to get through to playoffs that they had been like touted to have been a part of
Right,
since
yeah.
day one, and then struggled to get to a stage playoffs by stage 4. So teams had up and down. We had crowd favorites like Shanghai Dragons. The entire season, people were cheering for Shanghai to get their first win. Never happened, but it was
It
something
almost
that I
did.
think.
Almost did.
But it's something that makes season 1 super unique and will be
Yeah.
memorable, right? I.
Capture history.
Yeah,
It was
capture
great.
history being the slogan for the finals, but
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, do what you're gonna do to market yourself. What do you think was the highest high that we hit during season 1?
Definitely not sure of that. um, I'd probably say, you know, I feel like maybe stage 3 playoffs were pretty exciting, or stage 2 playoffs were very exciting. Um, I can't really say, I don't have a specific instance in mind right now. But I would definitely say the game was most excited, or people were most engaged then. I think maybe player engagement sort of fell off after stage 3, even though, I mean, obviously we watched and enjoyed throughout the grand finals. But
Right.
I think that there was a lot of people coming in to watch the first stage, and then the second, by then, it got hyped up. Stage 2 was very exciting. Uh, and players were engaged, and they promoted it on the game menu. You can watch it now.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so I think that sort of just constantly in your face, this is exciting, let's watch it. And a lot of people tuned in then. Barely got more than Fortnite viewers, surprising. But in certain games specifically. But yeah, so I think around stage 2 or stage 3 was very exciting for the majority of people watching. But
I would agree. I think stage 2 is a big highlight of mine just because we saw the explosion
mm-hmm.
of people's heads based on the increased ability for Widowmaker to make a difference on the
Yeah.
battlefield. I think stage 2 and stage 3 we saw a lot of Widowmaker coming to bear, and that was kind of, for me, that tended to be the most exciting. Those were the most exciting stages,
Yeah.
because they also had a wide variety of teams that were reaching the top. So like in stage 3 we had the undefeated Boston Uprising. In stage 2, NYXL, London Spitfire, and Philly Fusion, in which Philly Fusion defeated Spitfire in the stage playoffs. It was
Yeah.
a lot of fun to see which team was going to rise to the top. And I think the biggest success that Overwatch League had in Season 1 was just the variety of teams that made it to the stage playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just like NYXL was basically always there, right? They were
Yeah.
always there. But other than NYXL, the amount of teams that made it, there were no teams that made it 3 times to the stage finals. And there were a couple teams that made it twice, but there were like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different teams made it to stage playoffs out of 12. That's a pretty high number.
Yeah.
And that makes it really exciting. I was happy with just the diversity of talent and the diversity of strategies and the implementations throughout the stage, and I think that was the highest high for me. What about the lowest low?
Shanghai Dragons. Oh, so sad.
Ooh,
I don't know.
Shanghai.
I think the lowest low is all the controversy over just stupid players making stupid mistakes. We talked about it in a bunch of our videos. I mean, those videos are not necessarily relevant at all to watch, but because they were talking about news stories in the moment. But I mean, check out our series anyways. We do an Overwatch series called Group Up With Me, and we also do one called Overwatch Replay where we review matches. So you can send in your own videos to gaminghungover@gmail.com and we will totally review them for you. So give us a shot, we'll be your coaches. I think we can help you out. But Ivan, Group Up With Me, we discussed a bunch of controversies of players getting banned for a certain amount of time or completely expelled from the Overwatch League for doing stupid, controversial things that could easily, if they just kept their mouths shut, would have easily been avoided. So, I mean...
Dallas
I
Fuel
think,
had a rough Season 1.
Right, exactly.
XQC was released from the team. Rascal was released from the team. Their main tank that they brought in to replace XQC, OGE, was suspended for a number of games for boosting. Over to one of the teams that was in the finals, Philly. They had a player that was gone for 30 or 40 games, or 30 games because of boosting. Sato, their main tank.
Right.
So it was a great. And then you had also EQO doing, his racist remarks. So he got his team suspension. It was a lot of goofball things that
are typically associated with gamers, I think.
Yeah. It's just, I think for the majority of it, it's gamers not understanding the implications or the underlying severity of the underlying arguments and hurtfulness of actions and words.
Right. Yeah.
The gaming community has always been one that's not super kosher,
or mature.
And very immature. And I think that this was a lot of learning for both Blizzard and the Overwatch League administration,
right,
as well as players who had to, pay money or lose their jobs.
Yeah, well, hey, if you just kept your mouth shut, right? But, I mean, these guys are literally very young, so I guess this may be their first... I don't know how many of them are rookies, but a lot of them have been on teams before, so they should know better. I mean, a lot of them do know better, so I'm not blaming all of them, obviously, but the ones that got in trouble, sorry, but you're being an idiot right now, and this is your fault. That's just it. So I'm glad. Low the lows. That's what I have to say. But just be better next season, and we'll see if they're back. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the low of lows was teams mismanaging players and not being able to support players significantly enough physically and mentally. I think this became a huge issue throughout the season as we saw a lot of burnout from different players on different teams. From effect on Dallas Fuel, who would at times give everything that he could in order to make sure that Dallas Fuel, for instance, didn't lose to Shanghai.
Yeah.
And different things. Or I think just seeing the burnout that different teams experience. Birdring getting physically injured, and then London struggling in stage 2 and stage 3. Boston Uprising kind of flailing in stage 4.
Right.
Other teams experienced, like Seoul Dynasty, I think, over the course of the season, really, I think we're on a player level mentally and physically mismanaged because they just couldn't hold together a roster and lost a lot of moral support for each other, and it appeared in their gameplay.
Right, definitely.
So I think that this is going to be a topic that a lot of teams have started to manage, and I think will be a focus of Overwatch League in general in Season 2 to make sure that teams know that this is going to be a problem and to make sure that teams manage the entire issue better. And I think like we have some shining examples, like Pine, for instance, just put out a video where he talked about the fact that in Stage 2 he barely played, but he came back with the team stronger than ever and was able to sort of have help dealing with depression.
Right, no, I mean, we all know a lot of gamers and people who just, use the internet deal with depression a lot, so it's a real deal. It's a serious issue that people deal with every day, so I'm glad that he could get some help out. Help from the team, help from his managers, I'm glad he had that outlet to reach out to.
Right.
Yeah.
So... what's your... I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about several of our largest takeaways. Is there any one thing that you would like to see improved, changed, or taken away, like added, changed, or removed for Overwatch League in Season 2?
I'd like them to try to keep up with the most recent patch of the game. I think that's a really important thing to keep players engaged in. For instance, when you take it on our level, right? For instance, right? We will watch the games and we're excited to see the games, of course. But, there's still that sort of underlying feeling when you watch the game. Like, this isn't even Sombra isn't changed at all. Why are they not playing Sombra? It's because she's not being used as frequently in this patch. So we sort of have to rewind the clock and think again about how was the game played on that patch. So that sort of discrepancy between the latter play and current play and Overwatch League is something that I think they should really try to make synchronous, and even if it means delaying a patch, I don't know, actually. Yeah,
I think delaying a patch is fine if you can time out together.
Yeah, I think
as long as it's not game breaking. Yeah. Like small minor adjustments, like fixing how Sombra's hack works so that you couldn't get hacked through a shield or something.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That's just a game breaking patch that needs to get fixed.
Right.
Or like after they implemented Brigitte, fixing how the radius of her shield bash. Like those are not super significant changes in terms of like introducing a new character or remodeling a character set. But they can be like mid patches that are put in.
But I'd be excited. I mean, it's when the game changes these new patches, it's usually pretty significant. So I'm always really excited to play the game again when there's a new patch. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze, but I'm also not about to sneeze, and it's the worst. So, but it's just really exciting to. I mean, I know it would throw off sometimes these patches roll out mid stage, so it would completely throw off the stage. But I think it's really exciting to be able to watch, like Pine play the characters that that are just released or something like that in the game and play it at the highest level, so I can learn more about playing the game. I learned so much watching these games that and that I really change in my gameplay. So that's half of why I watch this league, other than just it's super sick to watch all these plays. So I think that's really important.
You watch the highest level play to see how you can improve your game sense and your strategies and just like of course you have to work on mechanics or whatever on your own. But game sense is something that you can pick up from watching how better people play. I mean,
definitely.
done from the
Soccer,
lowest levels
yeah.
of soccer, football, baseball, etc. So
Yeah.
it's just a very standard thing. I think my thing that I would change, one of the things that I would change, probably not the most important, but related to patch and meta, because why was Stage 1 super interesting? It's because Stage 1's patch was the same patch that we were playing.
Yeah.
And then they had to rework Mercy's kit because it was shitty in Overwatch League.
Yeah.
And then they had to rework Hanzo, and then Symmetra, and then all these. So there were super significant patch, like character reworks. I
Yeah.
feel like Season 1 of Overwatch League led to so many character reworks. It was crazy. So maybe, think about how characters work before it's a professional esports game. But second, I think that the patch that you play in Stage 4 should be the patch that you play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that changing the patch between Stage 4 and the playoffs really threw some teams.
Like NYXL.
And you saw the teams that had the most experience with the patch, Philly Fusion, London Spitfire, were the teams that ended up in the finals.
Yeah.
And then the teams that were able to better coordinate those patches, like Spitfire, were the team that won out. So I think give teams as much time with the meta as possible, as much time with the patch as possible, and don't change it for the playoffs. I think that seems a little funny to me. Even though they had a big break between Stage 4 and playoffs, it's a huge difference practicing a meta and playing it in a game.
Yep, definitely. I can only imagine how much stress was going through their minds. They're like, we have to play this game even more now than we're already playing it, just so we can be ready for any possible situation thrown at us. So it's scary. When $1 million down the line, you got to be good. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that was a change? Do you have anything to add or take away?
Add or take away? No, not that I can think of right now. What about you, Ivan?
I would shit, this is another change. I think the main thing for me is don't make the schedule based on the alphabet.
Yeah, right. That I was going to say something about that, right.
Do a little bit of computational analysis and be like, okay, this team is predicted to do this well, this team is predicted to do this well, or don't even have to do that. Just send it to a more random experience.
Yeah.
Than having, like, Houston play NYXL and London Spitfire every week of every stage.
Yeah.
Like, more
ridiculous.
variety in how those teams come up to face against each other, I think will increase the interesting combinations that we'll see, the results of the matches, etc. I think that having the same teams face the same teams in the same week of each stage really is kind of this is more of a nitty-gritty, boring analysis thing. I think it is. I think it would provide a more interesting dynamic to the league in general. And also, why can't we just play every team every stage?
That would make sense. I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. That would make a lot more sense. They can just add another game to each day or something, or broadcast games simultaneously. You pick which game. Well, that would be bad for... They only want to do one stream at a time, so... depends how big the league gets. They're going to have to figure out scheduling. They're going to have to hire more people for scheduling, so it'll get crazy. But that's not our job, but hopefully they can change it up a little bit more.
Yeah, and don't grow too fast too soon. Adding teams, I think, is going to be important to increase variety, but these 12 teams were not super efficient across the board. We saw Shanghai not be able to get a single win.
Right.
Florida Mayhem wasn't able to pull their shit together for a long time, and Dallas was able to successfully perform in a stage only once.
Right, exactly.
So, I'm not saying that the talent of players, player pool is going to decrease or thin out, but adding teams too quickly will decrease the quality of games that we see from the lower tier or lower mid tier teams, and just make the higher tier teams unwatchable when they play against those teams.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Vaughn, we've talked about Overwatch League for quite some time.
It's a favorite.
It's exciting.
Topic of ours.
It is.
We literally have a show dedicated.
Yeah.
to it.
No, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. No. This is a great experience. I can't wait for season 2. It's gonna be. I don't know when it starts. You know when it starts? It must be next year.
I don't think they have the schedule released. We still have the
All-Star
game to
August
go to.
25th in LA, I think. Or it's that
Yeah.
weekend. Exciting game. Go check that out. We'll probably have some coverage of it before it starts. So I think be on the lookout on our YouTube channel for that. Be exciting.
Guess what? Literally every other American professional sports series
Yeah.
has the All-Star game in the middle of the season so that players can get a break.
Yeah, right. Oh, well.
It's important to give the players themselves a break. So having the Korean players have to stay over for this
another
All-Star game
month,
is kind of
it's
crazy.
horrible.
I mean, they'll probably be able to go home or if they need to, but you can put it in the middle of the season and give players a little bit of a break, and it might be better for the overall player morale and mental stability.
Yeah, I'll be exciting to see when season 2 starts. We'll probably have a little more of a discussion later on in the year about that, be tuning in for that stuff. Otherwise, we stream Overwatch frequently throughout the week, so be sure to check out our content there. Be exciting. Ivan, thanks so much for doing this podcast with me. It's always a pleasure.
Why are you thanking me, dude?
Because
it's
great.
Thank yous are nice, but
it's great. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing this with you, and I hope people enjoy watching our podcast. Ivan, we end our podcasts every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener or viewer, or those are the only 2 things that we have. Hey, maybe you're a fan of us. Can send in your music to gaminghungover@gmail.com. We will play it at the end of the audio portion of the podcast and give you links out so everyone can go give you more clicks. I think it's an exciting way for you to get your music out there, and it's super easy. Just send us an MP3 link. We'll just put it in there. It's not even you didn't even have to contact an agent or something to get your music out on the internet. Look at that. So, Ivan, if no one picks a song, then I get to pick a song unless you want to pick a song.
Annie Up?
Annie Up. I love that song. Annie Up. I love this song. Get 'em, get 'em, get 'em. But I will not play that because we will get a copyright strike. Instead, I'm going to be playing some Mega Man X music. Specifically, this one is from Chill Penguin Stage. Yeah, I said it. That's the name of a boss. It's a penguin that shoots ice at you. It's a great song. I hope you guys enjoy this song because I'm enjoying this series. Mega Man X is great. Go check it out on Nintendo Switch, PC, PS4, Xbox One, across the board. It's super fun. And come on. Good job on the podcast. We'll catch you guys next week.
Good job to you, man.
Peace out.
Bye.